So, Superman 2025 is finally out, and I've had a lot to say. I have done a stream speaking about it, and I just wanted to have a review where my thoughts are a little more streamlined and consolidated. I'm not going to go and ramble for a long time, but I wanted to start by saying that Superman is my all time favorite superhero ever. And I care about this character a lot. I grew up a lot on this character through Smallville, through the cartoons, Superman the animated series, seeing him in various movies like Superman, Batman Apocalypse, Public Enemies, reading the various comics, All Star Superman, Alex Ross's Kingdom Come, whatever the case may be. Like, I'm very tapped in. I don't even dislike Injustice, like the game, like the first story and what they did with stuff like that, or like Gods and Monsters, which is a different take on Superman, which isn't Clark. It's not Kal-El, it is Zod. But the point is, I'm very tapped in when it comes to Superman, and a lot of times with the live action movies, I've been more let down than I've been impressed. Now, I do want to say that I'm not a hater of Zack Snyder. I don't hate his vision, I don't hate what he did. He made it very clear how it is that he views the Superman and DC mythos, and that was his take and his spin on it to make it dark, grittier, and that was at a time where we were a little bit edgier as a society, if you will. Plus, it was a contrast to Marvel's bright, vibrant MCU type humor, so I get that something different was trying to be done. You are allowed to like Man of Steel and Superman 2025. I think a lot of you are being weird. I'm not into the Snyder Wars versus James Gunn War, anything of that sort. And is this the best Superman movie ever created? I don't care. That's not something for me to answer. I can't answer that. What I can tell you is this the definitive Superman live action movie that I have been waiting my whole life to see? It is not. But do I believe that this is a bad film by any stretch of the imagination? I do not. I think it's mostly good than it isn't, but I do have a lot of problems. So we're going to talk about it. Please like the video, subscribe so Superman can come and save the day. I would like to begin with the characters because I believe the cast, the acting, and the characters in the movie were the best part of the overall film. And I think everybody came and did a great job. There was a couple of characters that at first I may have not realized it was them. By the way, I've seen this movie twice, so I'm a lot more comfortable speaking about it. But they've done some cool things like adding Rick Flag and Maxwell Lord in there, a little sneakier than I remember. And I want to start with David Cornsweet's Superman. I think it's a good Superman. I like it. I think it's a great embodiment of his love for life. I thought Superman here was a little more assholey in a way that I think is a little more contemporary with our times, with the way that he acts and reacts to certain things. I really like that initial kind of like mock interview, if you will, that Superman and Lois had in the building, and getting frustrated that people are trying to get political with, oh, this country's invading this country and you're an American, you can't really do that, whatever the case may be. And he's like, people were gonna die. I didn't do this as an American or as a this or as a political statement. I was here to protect life. When you're seeing him fight the creature that Lex had unleashed from the whatever dimension that he got it from, he doesn't want to kill it. He wants to find a way to subdue it, shrink it to size, and maybe bring it to his extra terrestrial zoo. And I'm like, I like this. This is my Superman. He's saving people, squirrels, dogs, while he's trying to fight it, and he's visibly distraught when this Justice Gang, which I'll get to soon, come and actually kill the monster. I didn't like that. They killed it, but I get that Superman was really trying not to kill it. And as a result of that, it made things more difficult because he was trying to find the way to protect it, but also stop it and not have it destroy the city. I think that's the one thing they got with him, his embodiment and love of life. And yeah, I thought Lois was great. This has been my favorite live action movie Lois thus far. I honestly didn't really like Amy Adams. She was one of my biggest issues with kind of like what was happening in the Snyderverse, if you will. But Rachel is great. She did a good job. She knocked it out the park. I thought the look was good. The acting was good. As a matter of fact, I would have loved to see more. I think more of her would have been fantastic. It would have been excellent, but it is what it is. It's the first kind of movie in the DCU. I do know that Creature Commandos, the cartoon, takes place in the DC universe, and I heard Rick Flag Sr. is in it. I haven't seen it, and I don't know if it really ties into this movie at all in any capacity. If you know, you can comment that in the comment section below. Let me know. But yeah, shout out to Lois. She was great. I thought Jimmy, Big Dick Jimmy, was great. I enjoyed what he did. I would have liked to see him and Clark speak a little bit more because they're supposed to be best friends, or at least very close. Would have liked that a little bit more. Shout out to my guy Bunk from The Wire. I liked what he did with Perry when he was in it, but he did feel a little bit like a glorified cameo. But maybe we'll get a great Caesar's ghost in the next movie or the next installment, next time we see him. I didn't like Hawkgirl that much. I thought she looked incredible. I didn't really like much that she did. So hopefully she can kind of get fleshed out and shown a bit more love moving forward. I believe the actor's name is Nathan Fillion. He did a great job as Guy Gardner. He completely embodied him in look, spirit, and the whole his rat attitude. Everything about him was great. I actually liked it. I thought that he was a very good and interesting addition. He is one of my least favorite Green Lanterns, or at least human Green Lanterns. I am a Hal Jordan guy. Hal Jordan is my favorite, but it was nice to see him, man. I think he knocked it out the park. I actually really like that he continuously tried to use that nursery rhyme, Dr. Seuss, and brightest day, blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. He tried to use the oath for reasons why he couldn't do things whenever he didn't want to do something. That's very in line, in my opinion, with something he would do in the comics, or what I'm familiar with Guy Gardner. I have to also say this. I haven't particularly kept up with Big Two comics for real since about 2019. So like the last 6 years, I don't really read that many DC Marvel comics. I'm very much an Image guy. If I'm going to read comics, I'm going to read Monstrous, I'm going to read Low, I'm going to read East to West, whatever the case may be. But they could have been changing things in the mythos that I'm not aware of, just so you guys know. But I like the Guy Gardner, man. He did a good job. Lex was an incredible standout. But with Lex kind of comes my first major criticism of the film, which is that as a DC guy like myself, and maybe some others, we don't particularly need you to fill in the blanks. You can start a Superman story or Superman cartoon with him fighting maybe Mongol or something crazy, and we can kind of fill in the blanks ourselves. I don't think that James Gunn did the legwork for people who are not familiar with Superman, who are not familiar with his myth and mythos and his folklore. So maybe they needed to see a quick montage of him coming from Krypton to Earth. Maybe they needed to see a little bit of Krypton blowing up, and maybe we'll get that later retroactively. But I thought the movie started very weak. And one thing that I want to give Zack Snyder is I thought every single film that he made in this universe had an incredible first 15-minute start, with Jor-El on Krypton with the Codex, seeing Batman on the ground, seeing the Zod and Superman fight from the human perspective, because in this version, I think Metropolis and Gotham were right across a bridge. They were kind of across from one another. And same thing with the Justice League, the real one, the Snyder Cut. I thought all of these started really well. I don't like how he just starts we didn't even see him lose. It was a tell don't show. I thought that was very weird, and being for 300 years metahumans, for 30 years Superman, for 3 years whatever. It's I didn't like that. That didn't move me. It didn't. Crypto in this movie was fine. I think he worked. I don't like Crypto. I never have. I never will. I apologize. I know you guys want to pet the dog. You can call Pete on me if you want. I didn't care for the dog. I don't care for the dog. I never do. Shout out to Shelby, though, from Smallville. I mess with Shelby. Cat Grant was in this movie. I actually was hoping to see a little bit more of her, because I wanted to see a little more Daily Planet banter. But, she was there. She didn't really do much, but I thought she was fine when she did speak and everything. But yes, back to Lex. I apologize. I deviated from Lex. So my point was that you need to do the groundwork for why this particular Lex hates Superman. When did that start, and how did that fester, and when did it bubble up to the point where he decided to clone him and come with this elaborate scheme to take him out? I think that needed to be done. I get you got his hater energy really good, really well done, really well executed. Even I would say his general intellect and money and stuff like that. Lex was done really well. This is my favorite live action Lex in the movie. I'm sorry. You're never beating Michael Rosenbaum. He's the GOAT. You're just not beating him. Shout out to Smallville again. I'm going to keep glazing Smallville. I don't care. But Yeah, I think you need to do the legwork to be like, when did he first see Superman? Maybe his first reaction to people's reaction to Superman seeing Hope made him sick. When he said, when you basically mention any geniuses in human history with me, I threw up in my mouth a little. I felt that. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's some Lex Luthor shit. Even with Superman, I would have liked to see a little bit more of his upbringing in this film. I think you could have done it the way BVS did, the very, very quick Bruce's parents' death, and then kind of, moving on from that. I don't think you needed to delegate a lot of time to it. I think instead of having Crypto take 5 minutes to drag him to the Fortress of Solitude, you could have used that to maybe a quick montage of Krypton blowing up and thing coming to Earth, and then that way we would understand these incarnations version of these characters much better. That's the weakest part of this film to me, because I think of the multiverse, I think of all the Earths that exist and all the different interpretations of various villains and heroes and in between that I've seen. I'm usually cool with whatever spin and version of a hero or villain you want to make or do, as long as you kind of explain yourself. Oh, I want to make this more grounded and realistic. I want to go darker and gritty. I want to go very light-hearted and vibrant and kiddie cartoony. Just explain yourself, and I'll take it in stride. Let's not just kind of jump into things. Let's build the foundation and build the building properly, because I feel like some of those pillars that's going to hold up the DCU could be weak because you haven't explained a lot to a lot of people. I mean, for comic book fans, more likely than not, will be okay, but I'm just thinking about the average Joe out there that wanted to take his son to see Superman or something, or daughter. Mr. T, to me, was the best of the Justice Gang. I think he absolutely stole the show. I think he's one of the standout acts in the movie. I like them a lot. I don't usually get to see Mr. T live action kind of go off, so shout out to him and his T-Spheres. He was absolutely incredible. I could have done with a little bit of the humor, and I'm like, goddamn, Mr. Terrific. Like, that's James Gunn shit. I'm not fucking with that, but ultimately, he showed out, and he had a great thematic role in the story, and I like that he was the one that kind of helped out to find Clark in the dimension, because that made sense. And yeah, like, Lex just built a dimension. Like, explain that. Dimensions and parallel Earths and stuff like that can throw people off. Like, you got to explain that. I went back to Lex real quick, but yeah, Mr. T to me was absolutely one of the three best characters in the whole movie, so he was good. I really like Metamorpho. He didn't get the biggest role, but I thought when he was there and when he did something, it was strong, it was meaningful. It was one of those, I thought the screen time he did get was good. I'm starting to realize that this movie does have a little bit of has too many characters. There's a lot of introductions that have to be made in this movie, and I think you could have made it a little bit easier for yourself if you didn't do as much. I didn't like the shoving in of Kara at the end, but Crypto is Kara's dog, Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. That was cool. Like, I'm happy she's here, and I think that will kind of get her story and flesh her out and make her into an actual hero, not a red star drunkard, because she's going to planets with red solar radiation so she can get drunk because she can't under a yellow star, the sun. So she's been partying, and Crypto's her dog, and she does not discipline him, which is why he's a quote-unquote bad dog. So yeah. Now, I need to talk about his parents. His parents were the thing that bothered me the most about this movie. I am totally okay when you want to make them more like Hicks and like country bumpkins, whatever the case may be. That's fine. I don't care about that. It's Ma and Pa Kent. That's okay. But I really wanted to be a lot more involved with his life and his upbringing, and I think the movie did a good job with the like one scene when he's like hurt and he comes home to heal, and you kind of get to see how much they care about him. But when they're like, is he gonna be okay, it was kind of like, oh, I'm used to you guys having to help him actually adjust and learn how to use his powers and have control with his abilities, because you guys are the ones that figured that out, and maybe have to hide that from the role for a little bit. I get maybe because metahumans had already existed, it wasn't as weird, and maybe he could pretend to be a metahuman and not an alien. But I'm accustomed to his parents knowing, like, oh, that's kryptonite poisoning. Here's what we have to do. Like, they know how to take care of their son. So some Pa Kent asking Lois, like, will he be okay? I was like, ooh, okay. So you guys, like, I want to know how he was raised. The montage at the end, right? So this is still on the whole parent lineage thing. I'm praying and hoping that in the later movies or later series, they correct the fact that Jor-El and Lara are not bad people. They have made their mistakes, but they're not bad people. They would never send Kal-El to Earth to conquer and have a concubine of harem. Like, that was so jarring to me. I'm absolutely not accustomed to that. I didn't like that. I didn't love that. I know, I just didn't like it. That's just me. But I like the flip of playing the message that they sent for him, where it's like soothing for him. It calms him down. It makes him feel like he's got a lot of purpose. His parents sent him there, but it was part of it was damaged. And then when it got undamaged, they were saying take over the planet, which messed with him. To the end of the movie where they like play the message for him, it's soothing, and it was a montage of like videos and VHSs or DVDs or whatever it was of Ma and Pa Kent raising him on the farm, and then his dad also telling him, hey, what you wanted that message to means a lot more than what it actually does, because we are parents. All we do is give you the tools to make fools out of yourself, but you don't have to follow in their footsteps and do what they want. And I'm so proud of you. I needed more of that. I know Snyder didn't do it in the way that a lot of people liked, but his parents were involved with his upbringing and understood what he could and couldn't do and what was and wasn't dangerous to him. As much as it was a more realistic, maybe to protect your secret, you might have to do something you don't like. But Clark never listened. He always did what was right. So the parent stuff was weird. I don't know how to judge Bizarro, Ultraman, Bizarro Man. I don't know what to do with this, because there's Ultraman isms and Bizarro isms in the character kind of fusion into one. And I suppose it works as just having something that Superman can punch that can take it, but didn't really care for the Ultraman Bizarro thing that much, or like the engineer. It was okay. It worked. I don't know, I guess, but I need time to figure that one out, because it was so obvious to me when Lex wasn't worried about being able to get into the Fortress of Solitude. I'm like, okay, so you like cloned him, or maybe somehow Ultraman is being controlled by you. Does throwing him into a black hole actually take him to Earth 3 where the crime syndicate exists or something, and then he comes back as the actual Ultraman and somehow gains intellect and intelligence or something? I don't know. I don't know what to do with that one, so I'm going to leave it alone. But that's kind of like my thoughts on the cast, because I want to talk about the characters, because characters are the thing that matter to me the most in storytelling, and I thought it was the strongest part of the movie, all things considered, even though some of it was messy. The story tonally was all over the place. The story, to me, needed some focus. It's got a lot of BVS in it to me, where it's a little all over the place. I do like how comic booky it is, and it just kind of leans into that. Maybe people are used to it since metahumans have existed for a very long time, but I was kind of like, whoa, so like we're just gonna go from like this kind of real war situation that could be a parallel to what's happened here in the last few years. I'm not getting into that. You can interpret that how you want. I'm not here to talk about that, but then you fight like Mr. Mixelpicalix. It seems like he came there when they talked about the like fifth dimension imp, and I'm like, what? Like they're just fighting him, like, and there's like really vibrant, weird colors in the sky, and it's like, just another day in Metropolis, which I think was kind of fly, all things considered. But it was really all over the place. Some of the humor I didn't need. I don't think James Gunn let some moments just sit with the audience and let it hit to the heart and let it be heartfelt. He had to like add a joke or have Crypto like bite Lex and drag him around, and it's like, bro, like Lex and Clark were having a moment that I wanted to hear them go back and forth and have their ideologies clash, but I suppose it is what it is. He did something a few times, and I can't remember why. I can't remember all of the examples, but I'll give you the one that I can recall, which is like he brings up something interesting and then does absolutely nothing with it. When Clark is trapped in a dimension, and he brings the guy that helped him, I don't remember his name right now, and he does like the Russian roulette and ends up shooting him. He's like, I thought that would take longer. Anyways, I'm gonna go bring someone else that you care about and torture them. How about that reporter, Clark Kent? And I'm thinking, when he's looking for Clark and he can't find him, it's gonna behoove the people around Clark who know or whatever to like do something to throw Lex's scent off, or Lex is gonna get close to the secret or something of the sort. And we just did nothing with that. Like he just did like pretty much like didn't look for Clark, and I'm like, what? Why would you even say that then? Like that was very frustrating. And he did that at least one more time with something in the movie. I just can't remember what it was. I don't know, a lot of James Gunn stuff in there that wasn't fly to me, but it is what it is. As for the world building and lore, and is this a good launch pad for the DCU and what's to come? I think there's enough things a couple of Easter eggs that I've caught, and a couple of things here that I've seen, a few things, several things where I'm like, you could build on this, and we'll see what's going on when we do Booster Gold and the Green Lantern show and Supergirl, Girl of Tomorrow, and I think Batman, Brave and the Bold or something of the sort. I don't know everything that James Gunn has lined up and in a super interconnected universe with the cartoons, apparently the games, the shows, and the cartoons and the films. So it's supposed to connect everything. But I think it's done a good enough job, the same way I felt Man of Steel had done enough job. You had seen like LexCorp, you had seen the Bruce Wayne satellite and certain things in there where it's like, okay, like these characters exist somewhere in some capacity, we just don't know. And with the Green Lantern Corps already existing, we know that there's lanterns, so like he's done a lot. Again, they've existed for something like 300 years or whatever the case was, so he's done enough. I just want to say that despite my issues with the film, I don't think it's a bad movie. I still really think that it's mostly good, but I really like Zack Snyder's fight scenes a lot more. The fighting in this movie didn't move me that much. Ultraman and Superman wasn't bad, but I thought the Feora stuff and the Zod stuff from the other movies were better. Like the Batman warehouse scene still lives rent-free in my head from BVS, the extended edition. I think that's so fly. And then I'm thinking about like just like how I walked away from the movie. I think when I walked away from Man of Steel in a general sense, I was higher on it than I was lower on it. Like, or at least I felt much better about it than I did with this movie. I don't think Henry Cavill got to be the hopeful Superman. He was getting to that point, but I don't think he ever got to because of just whatever happened with Warner Brothers and yada yada. I don't want to get into it, but it's not a bad movie. I think this movie is a 7.5 out of 10. I like a lot of the character work. I like how the characters were acting. I like how they looked. I like how it was more vibrant, a much more hopeful, much more inspirational movie in a time where I think people are very dark, cynical, and kind of nasty. And having a Superman, that bright symbol, the House of L in the sky to just give us hope and something to aspire to, I just think it's powerful. And I think this is a good time to have something like this. But I could have done with some better fights and maybe not Ultraman, Zorro. And please try to explain things for the people who are not just comic book nerds the way that you are, James Gunn, and I am. They need the legwork. They need a little bit of help, okay? I've been reading comics since I can remember how to read. So I have a lot of this information. I couldn't just plug it in my head. If I was watching, let's say, a Marvel movie and I just saw like Doom and I just saw like Reed Richards and they just got into a fight, I know the history. I could fill in the blanks. Someone would be like, why is he yelling at this guy? Why are they beefing? They wouldn't know. You have to explain. So to me, the weakest part of this movie is you didn't build a foundation for the general audience or the non-super comic booky people, and they're asking me a million questions because they don't know. So yeah, 7.5, that's where I'm at. Let me know what you guys thought if you saw the movie. Oh, I probably should have said spoiler warning like a way earlier. Okay, anyways, goodbye.